Hey everyone, my name is Riley, and in this video we will be diving into how LLC taxes work. Whether you are in the process of starting an LLC or if you are already running one, understanding how your business is taxed is absolutely key to staying on top of your finances and avoiding any surprises come tax season. Now here is what we are going to be covering in today's video. Firstly, how LLCs are taxed by default, what it means to elect S-Corp status, how LLCs taxed as C-Corps work, other important tax considerations, and when you should consult a tax professional to ensure you're making the right decisions for your LLC. I will also introduce you to my recommended LLC formation service that makes sure you are compliant and also offers guidance if you ever need help with tax questions later down the road. As always, if you decide to use my recommended service, I may earn a small commission at no extra cost to you. I've thoroughly researched my options and I trust this service to provide top-notch support. Jumping right in, we are going to be starting out with default LLC taxation for single member LLCs. Now, when you form an LLC, the IRS typically treats it as a pass-through entity by default. This means that your LLC doesn't pay taxes directly, and instead the income is passed through to you, the owner, and is reported on your personal tax return. Essentially, for single member LLCs, you are taxed like a sole proprietorship, meaning that you will report your LLC's income on Schedule C of your personal tax return. You will also be responsible for paying self-employment taxes on your LLC's profits, which cover things like Social Security and Medicare. Next, we have default LLC taxation for multi-member LLCs. For multi-member LLCs, the IRS treats your business like a partnership. So this means that the LLC itself doesn't pay taxes, and instead each member reports their share of the profits on their personal tax return. Just like a single member LLC, you will still be responsible for self-employment taxes on your share of the LLC's income. Next, we have LLCs taxed as an S-Corp. So an S-Corp is a special tax election that LLCs can make if they meet the IRS criteria. By electing S-Corp status, you may be able to reduce your self-employment tax liability. Essentially, how it works is as an S-Corp, you pay yourself a reasonable salary, which is subject to payroll taxes, and then distribute the remaining profits as dividends, which are not subject to self-employment taxes. In terms of what a reasonable salary is, the IRS expects you to pay yourself a fair wage for the work that you do in the business. So this is essentially just what you would pay somebody else for the same job. For example, if you are a freelance web designer and other web designers in your area earn on average $60,000 per year, you can't just go and pay yourself $10,000 and then take the rest as profit distributions to avoid payroll taxes. If you do this and the IRS audits you and finds your salary unreasonably low, you could face back taxes and penalties, so it's just not worth trying this. Alternatively, an LLC can elect to be taxed as a C-Corp. This means that the LLC would pay corporate income taxes at the flat rate of 21%. And when dividends are paid to you as the owner, you'll pay taxes again on the individual level. This is known as double taxation. You might be thinking this is crazy. Why would anybody choose this? But if your LLC is highly profitable and you want to reinvest some of the profits back into the business, it might make sense to be taxed as a C-Corp, especially since C-Corps have lower corporate tax rates than individuals. Now, regardless of how your LLC is taxed, there are a few key things to keep in mind when it comes to your taxes. Firstly is for self-employment taxes. So if you are a single or multi-member LLC, you'll likely pay self-employment taxes on your business profits unless you elect an S-Corp. There are also state taxes. So some states have their own taxes on LLCs, such as annual fees or franchise taxes. For example, California charges an $800 minimum franchise tax. As an LLC owner, you can also deduct business expenses to reduce your taxable income, such as office supplies, business insurance, and travel expenses. You also might be wondering when it is time to talk to a tax professional, because taxes can get pretty complicated, especially if you are electing an S-Corp or a C-Corp status for your LLC. So when in doubt, it's always a great idea to speak to a tax professional or an accountant who can help guide you based on your specific situation. Now, if you've decided that an LLC is the right fit for your business, here is a step-by-step guide to help you navigate the formation process. The first thing that you will want to do is choose a business name. Now, your business name must be unique and it must meet your state's naming requirements. It's also a good idea to check if the name is trademarked and if the domain is available so that you can protect your brand in the future. This is a small but crucial step in building your brand identity. Step number 2 is to file your LLC's formation documents. To officially form an LLC, you will need to submit your articles of organization to the Secretary of State. This makes your LLC legally recognized, and the paperwork might seem like a hassle, but using an LLC formation service like Bizee simplifies this process and ensures your filings are accurate and timely. Step number 3 is going to be appointing a registered agent. So a registered agent is a person or a company who is responsible for receiving legal documents on behalf of your LLC. Whilst you can serve as your own agent, most business owners opt for a professional service to keep their personal information private and also ensure reliability. Step number 4 is to draft an operating agreement, and although this is not required in all states, an operating agreement is essential for outlining your LLC structure, the distribution of ownership, and the decision-making processes. Drafting an operating agreement helps protect your business and resolve potential issues, especially if you have multiple owners. Step number 5 is going to be getting your EIN or employer identification number. Your EIN is especially the social security number for your business, and you will need this to open a business bank account, to hire employees, and to file taxes. And then step number 6 is going to be remaining compliant with state requirements. Now, depending on your state, you may need to file annual report or meet other requirements like publishing a notice in a local newspaper. Additionally, certain industries also require specific business licenses or permits, so you need to make sure that you fully understand and fulfill your state's ongoing compliance obligations. So this is a lot to handle, but if you want to make this process as smooth and as stress-free as possible, I recommend using a professional LLC formation service. The one that I recommend is Bizee, and with Bizee, they can handle everything from filing to compliance, and they even offer a free registered agent service for the first year. So if you're ready to make this official and actually form your LLC, let's jump into my screen and I will show you exactly how to do this with Bizee. To get started with Bizee, just click on the top link down in the description and it's going to take you over to this page right here. So all we need to do is click on this orange button, and then it's going to take us over to this page where we select the entity type and the state we would like to form this in. So for the entity type, we want to go with an LLC, and then for the state, we can go down here, and in this example, I will just select Florida. Then up here, we can see the Bizee packages, and then we can see the state fee that you need to pay to the state. So with all of these, no matter which state you are in, the Bizee packages are going to remain the same, but the state fee is going to change depending on how much your state charges for this. But out of these packages, the one that I would recommend is the standard package right here. And the reason for this is because with the standard package, Bizee is going to handle everything that we need to stay compliant and form the LLC. So as we can see, they will prepare and file the articles of organization. We get the free registered agent for the first year. They will also file our EIN business tax number for us, set up the operating agreement, and then down here we can see lifetime compliance alerts and the unlimited phone and email support. So at any times, if you have any legal or tax questions, you can just give them a call. So in here, all we are going to do is select standard and then click on get started. And then from here, we can go through and we can choose the LLC name. So we can enter the name in right there, and then we can see this is available because we have a check mark next to this. So once we have named the LLC, we can move on to the next step. And in here, it's going to ask us if we want to pay an additional $50 for this expedited filing time. So this is really up to you. It depends how quickly you need your LLC to be formed, but we can select this if you do want that quicker time. From here, we can go to the next step, and we want to enter in your contact information as the person who is setting up this LLC. So we can enter this in and then go on to the next step. And in here, Bizee is now going to ask if we want to use our own address or if we want to use their virtual mail service. Now, what this means is if we go for our own address, as it says right here, any residential address provided to the state will be listed publicly. So if you don't want your address public and you would prefer the privacy of using Bizee's address right here, essentially what this means is that all of your company mail will be sent to this address, and then Bizee will scan this in and send it to you via email. So this is fantastic value for $29 per month, so I would recommend taking them up on this. And then down here, we now want to go through and enter in your contact address. On this next page, Bizee are then going to try and upsell us on this premium service package. So with this, we get a contract library of 25 contacts, as well as a business phone number. This is really not necessary, so if you want this, you can take them up, but I'm just going to say no thanks. In here, we can now provide the members' information and who is going to be members of this LLC. So you can choose up to 6 members right here, but I'm just going to set this up as my own LLC. So in here, we can just use this to autofill the information. And this is now where we are going to be offered the free registered agent for the first year. So if you remember from earlier, the registered agent is the person or company who is responsible for the legal documents for your business. So with this being free for 1 year, I highly recommend taking this. It's just an extra thing off your plate. We can go through and click on next. And in here, this is where we can now apply for our EIN or employer identification number. So all we have to do is autofill this. And then for the identification number by which you will obtain the EIN, we can choose to do this with a social security number or an ITIN. With this, I recommend going with a social security number because with the ITIN, this takes up to 12 weeks to obtain. And this really isn't ideal. So we can enter this information in and go down and autofill the street address and go next. And in here, they are now going to ask if you want to use one of their partners for your business banking. With this, there is no real benefit to doing this. If you want to use them, you can. But what I'm going to say is ask me later. We then get offered this free tax strategy consultation call. So I highly recommend taking this. There's no strings attached to this. We can take this and click on next. And then in here, we are now going to see an order summary. So on this page, you just want to go through and make sure all of this information is correct and filled out accurately, and then we can click on next. And on this final screen, we just enter in the card information that we would like to use in order to form this LLC. Go down to agree and we can click on complete and pay. So that is LLC taxes explained, as well as how you can form an LLC with Bizee. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to smash that like button and tap that subscribe button. And until next time, take it easy.